Your brain is shrinking right now, and you don't even know it's happening. The habits I'm about to show you aren't extreme. There are things you probably did today, and science says they're slowly destroying your most important organ. Today we're going through all 8. By the end of this video, you're going to look at your daily routine very differently. Poor sleep. Let's start with the one affecting most of you right now, not getting enough quality sleep. Most people think sleep deprivation just makes you tired. But a 2024 study in the journal Neurology out of UC San Francisco found that people with moderate sleep difficulty had brains that were 1.6 years older than their actual age. Severe sleep problems pushed that to 2.6 years of extra brain aging. That's measurable physical damage just from poor sleep. And here's what makes it worse. Sleep is when your brain flushes out toxic proteins, including amyloid beta, the same protein that builds up in Alzheimer's. Cut your sleep short and those toxins don't get cleared. They accumulate night after night. The CDC says 1 in 3 American adults, over 80 million people, regularly don't get enough sleep. So ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you woke up feeling genuinely rested? Because the next habit is one you're almost certainly doing while you're awake, and it's just as destructive. Sitting too much. A 2025 study in Alzheimer's and dementia from Vanderbilt University Medical Center and the University of Pittsburgh followed 404 adults over 7 years and found that prolonged sitting caused brain shrinkage and cognitive decline, even in people who exercise daily. Your morning workout does not cancel out 8 hours at your desk. A separate 2023 JAMA study of 50,000 people found that sitting 12 hours a day raised dementia risk by 50%. At 15 hours, which many Americans hit between work, commuting, and TV, the risk nearly tripled. The average American adult sits for 6.5 hours a day. Every hour of stillness is an hour your brain is being slowly starved of the blood flow and oxygen it needs to stay sharp. And the next habit is doing something to your brain's physical structure that doctors can literally see on an MRI scan. Chronic stress. Stress feels normal. But what it does inside your brain is not. When you're chronically stressed, your body floods your brain with cortisol. According to the National Institutes of Health, this causes measurable hippocampal shrinkage of 10 to 15%. That's your memory center physically losing volume. You can see it on a brain scan. A study in the journal Neurology involving 2,231 middle-aged people found that those with high cortisol levels performed worse on memory and cognitive tests and lost visible brain volume over time. The lead researcher, Dr. Sudha Sheshadri of UT Health San Antonio, warned that reductions of this size are associated with a significantly higher risk of dementia 10 to 20 years later. Chronic stress also makes the amygdala, your brain's alarm center, up to 30% more reactive. That's why chronically stressed people overreact, struggle emotionally, and feel constantly on edge. Their brain's alarm system is permanently stuck in the on position. Social isolation. This one got dramatically worse after the pandemic, and the research behind it is some of the most alarming on this list. A study in the journal Neurology reported by Alzheimer's Research UK followed people for nearly 12 years and found that socially isolated individuals were 26% more likely to develop dementia. They also showed lower brain volume in regions tied to memory and learning. In January 2025, the National Institute on Aging published an analysis of over 600,000 participants across 21 studies. It found loneliness raised Alzheimer's risk by 14%, vascular dementia by 17%, and cognitive impairment by 12%, an impact comparable to smoking or physical inactivity. The CDC says 1 in 3 Americans regularly feel lonely. And with remote work replacing real human contact, this problem is getting worse. The human brain is literally wired for social connection. Without it, large areas simply stop getting the stimulation they need to stay healthy. And the next habit is something you almost certainly did in the last hour, and it's quietly dismantling your ability to think deeply. Constant smartphone use. Americans check their phones an average of 96 times a day. And what that's doing to the brain's architecture is deeply concerning. A Microsoft Canada study found that the average human attention span dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to just 8 seconds today, shorter than a goldfish, coinciding exactly with the rise of smartphones. A University of Texas at Austin study found that just having your phone on your desk, face down, silent, not in use, measurably reduced available cognitive capacity. Your brain is partially occupied monitoring it even when you think you're ignoring it. UC Irvine researcher Gloria Mark found it takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds to fully regain focus after any interruption. Cognitive scientist David Meyer at the University of Michigan found that multitasking, which phones constantly trigger, burns up to 40% of your productive mental energy. Over years, this constant fragmentation weakens the brain's capacity for deep thought and memory consolidation. High sugar diet. The average American consumes about 77 grams of added sugar per day. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 25 to 36 grams. That's more than double the safe limit, every single day. A 2024 study in BMC Medicine analyzing over 210,000 participants found direct associations between high sugar intake and significantly elevated dementia risk. The mechanism is neuroinflammation, chronic inflammation inside the brain that drives the same breakdown pathway seen in Alzheimer's disease. Excess sugar also causes the brain to become insulin resistant, the same process that creates type 2 diabetes in the body. This connection is so strong that some researchers now call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. When the brain can't use insulin properly, it can't absorb glucose efficiently, and neurons begin to starve and deteriorate. Skipping breakfast. Your brain accounts for about 2% of your body weight but uses 20% of all the glucose you produce. After 8 hours of sleep, those stores are depleted. Skipping breakfast keeps your most important organ running on empty during its most active hours. A 2024 study in the Journal of Neurorestretology tracked 859 older adults over 3 years with cognitive tests every 18 months and MRI scans at each visit. People who regularly skipped breakfast had lower cognitive scores, greater cognitive decline, and higher levels of neurodegeneration biomarkers, measurable signs their brains were breaking down faster. A separate Mendelian randomization study published in PubMed in 2024, which establishes causal rather than just correlational links, found that skipping breakfast was causally tied to reduced cognitive performance, increased risk of ADHD, and increased risk of major depressive disorder. More than 31 million Americans skip breakfast regularly.